The start of the tale occurs as the planet faces imminent destruction. This took place in a future era where survival on the surface became unfeasible. The climate had deteriorated severely, and rumors spread that an additional scorching celestial body appeared in the heavens, incinerating the entire world. The human authorities, known as the constructors, understood that mankind was on the brink of extinction. In an effort to preserve the species, they devised a final strategy. The planet's top designers, researchers, and technicians convened in a concealed location. They resolved to construct an enormous metropolis beneath the earth. A subterranean metropolis where individuals could reside securely for the following 2 centuries. They trusted that after 2 centuries, the surface would once again be habitable. They dubbed the metropolis City of Ember. To determine the timing and method for the inhabitants to emerge from this metropolis, the constructors crafted a compact yet highly unique metallic container. Within this container, they placed crucial directives and a diagram for exiting the metropolis. Additionally, the route to escape the metropolis was detailed inside. A countdown device was installed on this container, designed to unlock automatically precisely after 2 centuries. The initial leader of Ember received this container and was instructed to protect it and pass it to the subsequent leader. The scheme was straightforward. This container would transfer from one leader to the next until the appropriate moment arrived. For an extended period, the leaders continued this tradition of handing the container to their successors, but destiny intervened differently. When the container arrived at the 7th leader, he abruptly became sick. And prior to transferring the container to the next leader, he passed away right there. Amid the chaos of his demise, he failed to deliver the container to anybody. It simply vanished somewhere amid an ancient wardrobe in an aged storage space. And the inhabitants overlooked it. The sequence that had been established was shattered. The residents of Ember lost memory of the fact that they were meant to depart at some point. Years went by. Those 2 centuries concluded, and the container stored in the wardrobe in the shadows unlocked on its own. However, nobody was present to witness it. Now in the present day, the condition of the City of Ember has worsened significantly. The metropolis is deteriorating. The massive power source that supplies energy and illumination to the entire metropolis is now malfunctioning. Power failures in the metropolis, meaning periods of obscurity, have become quite frequent. And now obscurity persists here for extended durations. The storage facilities that once overflowed with provisions and beverages are now depleted. The populace is frightened, but the local administration deceives them by claiming all is managed. We learn the true state of the metropolis when a major event arrives there, which is referred to as Assignment Day. This is the occasion when youths who complete their education are assigned an occupation for their remaining years. In Ember, you cannot select an occupation freely. You must draw a slip from a sack, and you are required to perform the occupation listed on that slip for your entire life. Here we encounter 2 primary protagonists. The first is Doon, who aspires to become an electrician to repair the power source. And on the opposite side is Lina, a lively young woman, whose ambition is to serve as a courier, so that she can obtain authorization to dash throughout the metropolis. When the moment comes to draw the slip, destiny reverses their wishes. Lina receives an assignment as a plumbing technician, meaning she will labor in the shadowy passages beneath the metropolis. Conversely, Doon receives an assignment as a courier, and both become deeply disappointed upon viewing their assignments. Doon is extremely upset because while he rushes around delivering communications to all, how will he mend the power source? Spotting the chance, Lina proposes to Doon to swap assignments. And Doon consents right away because the plumbing tasks are near the power source. If he accepts the plumbing role, he will soon access the power source. They both trade their uniforms, and each obtains the occupation they desired. Lina dashes home joyfully to share this update. She resides with her elderly grandmother and her little sibling puppy. Grandma is unwell. Her recollection is fading, and she searches her cabinet constantly throughout the day. She believes she has misplaced something crucial, but she cannot recall what it is. Here we observe Doon, whose initial day commences in the passages. There he encounters an elderly colleague named Sol. Doon poses numerous inquiries about the operation of the power source and water turbine, but he is astonished to discover that no expertise remains among any technician here. Because of the youth's preferences and not obtaining desired roles, many youths lacked enthusiasm for studying mechanics, and thus, that expertise did not advance and cease there. Nobody exists to repair the power source now, and here Doon comprehends that the circumstances are more dire than he imagined. On one side, Doon is greatly concerned about his role and the issues. On the other side, Lina is thrilled with her position. She sprints across the metropolis wearing a crimson hat and crimson scarf. She is unaware that this metropolis is destined for ruin in the coming days. One day, while delivering a similar communication, she notices that an individual has come back from the unexplored area of the metropolis. He was shouting and informed all that he had encountered an enormous creature in the shadows. He had witnessed a beast. He was alerting everyone that the beast would slaughter all. He also assaulted me. But the security personnel sees him here and assume he is insane. They also apprehended this individual because he had ventured into the unexplored area of the metropolis, where entry was prohibited. The security personnel pull him away from there, and something drops from behind him. It was a large tusk that truly resembled that of a massive bug. Lina retrieves it and conceals it. And here she comprehends that a mystery is concealed in the obscurity of the metropolis's unexplored area that nobody discusses. A fresh development occurs in the narrative when Lina is at her residence. Her grandmother is searching for something in the storage, and then she discovers that ancient metallic container, the identical container that the constructors had prepared. Young Poppy accesses it first and begins gnawing on the document inside it. And Lina scarcely rescues those fragments and assembles them. There was an unusual script on those documents that was not from Ember. Lina realizes that this was the vital item her grandmother was seeking. Lina attempts to assemble those fragments like a paper puzzle, and she deciphers some terms like directives, stream, entrance. She thinks that this is the method to rescue the metropolis, which she had learned about from her grandpa and dad. She carries it and visits Mayor Cole, but the mayor lacked any desire to rescue the inhabitants. He is a dishonest and self-centered individual who continually offers false reassurances to the populace, when in reality, he is concealing portions of the metropolis's supplies for himself. When Lina is in his chamber, she notices the identical metallic container in the images of the former leaders on the wall, which was held by the seventh leader. And that seventh leader was in fact Lina's grandpa. Now she is certain that this container is extremely unique. Lina decides she requires assistance, so she approaches Doon. Both attempt to comprehend. He realizes that these directives are directing toward the plumbing system, where Doon is employed. There was also reference to an entrance on the document and an escape. She realizes that the constructors had not abandoned them to perish here. In reality, an escape route from here was also created. When Doon is laboring in the passage, he spots a concealed chamber number 351 there, which is secured. There he also spots a large creature, an insect resembling an altered rodent. Viewing this, he becomes terrified, and the insect pursues him as well. This confirms that residing in these shelters is highly perilous. Beasts are emerging here. Today one has appeared, tomorrow there will be two, and then thousands, and they will slaughter humans. Later, Lina and Doon observe that the provisions sentinel who protects all the supplies. He was stealthily entering that chamber. He assumes that individuals are pilfering when they manage to access that chamber somehow. He is astonished to discover that this chamber was packed with items that were said to have depleted many years ago. Now they have concluded in these shelters. He is stunned when he spots Mayor Cole seated in that chamber. The mayor was not examining the pilfering. He himself was pilfering, and he was seated there savoring a meal leisurely. He had amassed so much provisions for himself that he could consume it throughout his existence, even if the remaining inhabitants perished from starvation. Lina and Doon comprehended that the mayor cannot be trusted. Now they must handle everything independently. They focus on those directives once more. A designated rock was referenced in the document. Doon recalls that he had observed a rock in the passage that bore an odd symbol on it. They realize that the escape is concealed close to the stream running beneath the metropolis. And amid all these investigations, Lina also uncovers a very sorrowful fact. Years prior, Lina's father also attempted to discover an escape from this location like Lina. But he was slain along with his partners, and never achieved this objective and could not escape. That is, their scheme failed. The passage they attempted to escape through was flooded with water, and Lina's father drowned. This is why Doon's father is now fearful because he was aiding him. And now he does not wish for his son to engage in any hazardous task. From this revelation, where Lina and Doon could have surrendered, they transformed this revelation into their power, not their frailty, and resolve that they will finish the unfinished task of their fathers. Their celebration is also held in Ember. At this celebration, all the residents of the metropolis used to assemble and perform songs for the metropolis. And simultaneously, Lina and Doon devised a scheme that they will expose the mayor's truth before everyone. But the mayor advanced ahead of them. He had already declared that Lina and Doon are offenders and disseminating false gossip. That is, he labels them as offenders, and the security personnel pursue them to apprehend them. Lina is apprehended and taken to the mayor's chamber. The mayor, seated comfortably amid his pilfered items, intimidates her. And at this moment, Lina believes that all will conclude. But then abruptly the illumination extinguishes here, and the entire metropolis is engulfed in obscurity. Lina escapes from there, capitalizing on this obscurity. She collects her younger sibling Poppy and rendezvous with Doon. Inform them that now they must depart the metropolis. They sprint and arrive at the plumbing system below. Adhering to the directives, they activate a concealed device. In this, lowering the stream's water level and turning certain controls were involved. This task was challenging, but they exerted all their effort. They discover a concealed storage there, which contained aged but sturdy planks. Initially it appeared like a cabinet, but as soon as it collapsed, they realized that these are planks. These planks were items that they had never encountered previously. They place one of them in the rapid stream, and seated in it, they are on the verge of departing there according to the directives when the mayor arrives there. He also fled from the performance event because he knew that the power source was going to detonate today. This gossip had circulated throughout the metropolis. There was pandemonium in the entire metropolis, and the mayor had arrived here to conceal himself in a secret shelter where his existence could be preserved. But as soon as he steps into his concealed eating area, a large beast appears there, which we had observed earlier. The mayor himself becomes ensnared in his own avarice and turns into the victim of that creature. Lina, Doon, and that small puppy all sit together in that vessel. Doon's superior, that elderly worker soul, assists him. He positions himself grasping a control to manage the water's force. This control was damaged. He lacked command over it. That's why Sol endangered his existence so that they could obtain an opportunity to flee. As soon as the water becomes extremely rapid due to the swift stream, the vessel also traverses through there and enters a concealed cavern. It was extremely shadowy here, and everything appeared very frightening. It resembled a rapid water chute, and they were also very terrified. Their vessel, which was wandering in the shadows, plummets down from the large cascades into a very large cavern. Within the cavern, they notice a note inscribed by the constructors on the wall, which they had composed for the greeting of those who arrived there at that moment. And perusing this, both of them comprehend that they had ultimately triumphed. There was no boundary to joy. Now they had to ascend very lengthy steps from here. They commence ascending those spiral steps. After ascending for hours, they spot a bit of illumination from above. After ascending a few more steps, they displace the objects above. And ultimately, for the first time, they inhale under the heavens on the surface. But regrettably, it was as shadowy as it was below. In fact, they had never ventured to the surface since birth. They lacked any idea of the evening. They were very disheartened, but for the time being, they were delighted to view the moon and stars. Now they had arrived here. There was no path to return. They rest here, and in the morning their eyes awaken with brightness. When they gaze at the heavens, the sun was gradually ascending from one direction. As soon as the sun ascends, all the birds commence soaring here and begin twittering. This is the vista that they were witnessing for the first time. Verdure, birds, this realm was exactly as before. Observing everything, they were astounded and joyful. They had only studied about these things in texts, and today they were witnessing it. Today the realm was verdant and vibrant. The additional celestial body that had approached near the surface had also departed from here. They joyfully commence wandering on the surface. And while wandering, they spot a profound chasm, which was overlaid with dense glass. When they peered down from there, they observed tiny illuminations in the depths. They comprehended that they were positioned directly above Ember City. They were able to observe the inhabitants below, who were rejoicing in the central zone of the metropolis at this moment. Doon composed a note and informed everyone the route to escape. And it was also noted that he has escaped. And he enclosed that note in rock and hurled it into the center of the metropolis. That rock proceeds and lands on the path of Ember City. And fortunately Doon's father discovers it, who was searching for his son at that moment. As soon as he perused the note inscribed on the paper of this rock, a beam of optimism also stirred in him. And then this tale concludes with this optimism and conviction that the truth has reached the inhabitants. The evil individual perished. The mystery was disclosed, and the route to escape is now accessible for all. Lina, Doon, and Poppy are positioned in the radiance of the sun. Inhaling the crisp air, they are prepared to commence a fresh existence, knowing that soon the remaining inhabitants of Ember will also join them. That prolonged shadowy evening was ultimately concluded,